Hey guys, thanks for joining me again on my YouTube channel. I am Cheriel Brown. I am the owner of Third Person Omniscient Productions, and I am the author of The Secret of Life Through Screenwriting, How to Use the Law of Attraction to Structure Your Screenplay, Create Characters, and Find Meaning in Your Script. So today I wanted to talk about the last episode of Mr. Corman, which was episode number 5. And of season 1, where we're in season 1 of the show. So I wasn't really gonna do another video on Mr. Corman. I did one when the show first started. And as the show was going from week to week, I kind of felt like, well, I don't really have anything to add to what's going on. I did realize something that I didn't notice really in the first video that I did from episodes 1 and 2. But since then, I noticed that one of the things that kind of works, I think, against the show is that it's not really like an ensemble piece per se, in the sense that there's only one storyline per episode. And it took me a minute to kind of realize that that's what was kind of like subconsciously bothering me. I didn't realize it consciously, but like subconsciously, you're used to seeing at least with a 30-minute show, you're at least waiting for like 3 storylines. Generally in television, there's more than one storyline going on per episode of almost any show. So that kind of was what was, I think, kind of causing me to be like, oh, it kind of feels like a little flat or a little weak. But I want to talk about episode number 5. And episode number 5 is called Action Adventure. And it was written by, the show was created by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he is also the star of the show. But it is written by, this episode, Roja, Gashtili, and Julia Lerman. So I hope I'm saying their names correctly. And also featured very heavily in this episode is the character Victor, played by Arturo Castro, and the entertainer, rapper, I think he's a rapper, Logic, who plays Dax, but he's credited in this episode as Bobby Hall, which I'm assuming is his real life name. So I just want to say that episode 5, and there are going to be spoilers in this review, but episode 5 really just like left me, like it punched me in my gut. Like it punched me in my gut, and it punched me in my gut in a good way. It punched me in the gut in a way where I walked away from the episode and I kept thinking about it. I watched the episode a few days ago, and I've been thinking about it ever since. It's just lodged in my brain. And I think, sometimes when you get to the end of a storyline, or you get to the end of a movie, or you get to the end of a season, the ending is so good that it made everything before it like great. And that's how this episode hit me. So I say this, I have to give a spoiler. So the reason why the episode hit me in my gut was because this character Dax, who Josh, the main character, is not really friends with. He's an acquaintance with Dax because he met him through his ex-fiance, Megan, who we still haven't seen yet on the season. We still haven't seen her yet on the show. But we know that Josh knows him through her. And the only reason why Josh really calls Dax is because Dax knows where the parties are. He knows where the hangout spots are. And Josh's character is not a character that really goes out and goes to clubs and that kind of thing. So he reaches out to Dax for that reason. And so far in the series, he's reached out to him like maybe once or twice. And each time that is the reason why. And the reason why it hits me in the gut so much is because, Dax was given like a little soliloquy, but he was talking to Victor and Josh, and he was telling them like, I don't have any friends. Like, he's kind of like a semi-successful entertainer, singer, whatever, has a substantial social media following. But we learned in this episode that there are people that are in the game that have way more followers than he has. And Dax feels like he's really not making it. Dax says earlier in the episode, he says something like, he said something like, I'm old now, so it's kind of over for me. But then he, you know, like, and I know people like this, and I'm like this too. You're always trying to stay positive. You're always trying to put those positive vibes out there. So you don't want to really say I failed or I'm about to give up. You don't want to say that. But the way he acted it, Logic, the way he acted that part, it's like you can see from the few times we've seen this character, and it's contrasted to Josh's character, who has completely given up on the music thing. It's just recently in the series that he started going back to making music. And the thing that's good is that they haven't really quite focused on Josh going back and dabbling in music, but we've seen it. So that's great, because I'm assuming that that's going to pop up again later, this, you know, return to music in a way. Because when you love something, you do it because you love it. Even if you're not getting any followers, even if you're not getting any money, you do it because you have something to say. And that's just the world we live in, where you have a platform to say something. And so Dax is, you know, we get to see like a real person who, when you look at them on social media, which is Dax's character, you look at him on social media and you probably think like, oh man, he's kind of like making it. He's kind of doing good. He's making moves. He's doing his thing. But if you talk to him, he's like, man, people don't even like me. I don't have followers, blah, blah, blah. And I love what Dax says to Josh. And he says to him, you act like somebody who doesn't give a fuck. You act like someone who doesn't give a shit about what anybody thinks. And you think that makes you cool, and you think that makes you better than people. And I'm like, oh my God, there are so many people like that, who they feel like they're cool because everything is uncool, or, you know, everything that's popular is like lame. You know, there are people like that, and that's kind of annoying. And Dax is telling him like, you're not really my friend. You don't care about me. You only call me because you want to get laid. That's what he says. Josh is not really calling him because he wants to get laid. Josh is calling him because he wants to get out. He wants to have a social life, and he wants to try. That's what I gather is why Josh is calling him, not to use him. But I love the way that's written, because that's how Dax interprets it. And when we have relationships with people in real life, that's sometimes what they are thinking. You know, you're thinking a relationship is one thing, and they're thinking a relationship is another thing. And Josh was just like, Josh doesn't see himself like that. Josh sees himself as a good person. So he doesn't even engage with him at that. He turns his back and walks away. In the way that's like kind of shot, I'm like, yes, like I'm feeling that, I'm feeling this whole scene, I'm feeling this argument. But y'all, oh my God, like they finally let us into Dax's world, like for real, like who he really is as a person. And then they totally sucker punch us at the end, because why? Oh my God, Dax is dead at the end of the episode. And the way it hit me was just like, my friend died recently, okay? So this is, I think, why this episode is like hitting me so hard. My friend from childhood died a few weeks ago. And he died just like Jack, how Jack died on This Is Us, like trying to put out a fire and dying a few days later from the smoke inhalation, okay? So when Dax pops up dead at the end of that episode, Josh's face, Josh's reaction, Victor's reaction, they look just like how I felt when I found out my friend had died. And they were like, what are you talking about? We just dropped him off at his house 5 hours earlier. And that felt so real. And I feel like some of the time when this show isn't working is because it's hitting us too close to home. It's hitting us too close to reality. And I don't know, you know, you want art to give you that sucker punch. You want art to give you, you want art to make you feel something. And I was like, it just kind of comes out of left field, but it comes out of left field in a good way, because you're thinking like, I'm totally leaving out a whole chunk of the episode because that part didn't resonate with me. The whole part where they had this little group fight, boys protecting each other, having each other's back, I don't care about that. That part actually reminded me of 500 Days of Summer, because, you know, like I've said this before, Joseph Gordon-Levitt created Mr. Corman, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the star of 500 Days of Summer. I've seen most of Joseph Gordon-Levitt's movies up until like the last few years, and 500 Days of Summer is my favorite movie, period. And it reminded me of the whole scene where Tom and Summer are at the bar, and Tom is like, you know, this guy is like talking to him, being rude and trying to get Summer's number right in front of Tom being there. And he's like disrespecting Tom. And Tom goes and punches him in the face, right? This whole like little fight that they have at the club on Halloween on Mr. Corman, that's just dudes being dudes. I can't even comment on that, okay? Because it reminded me of that whole little sequence on 500 Days of Summer when, you know, Tom knocks the guy out at the bar, and then the guy comes back and hits him even harder. And it's like, Summer's like, why are you doing this? Like, but in Mr. Corman, it's not for a girl. It's a totally different communication. It's communicating something totally different because it's about boys having each other's back. It's about guys being like a bro or whatever and having each other's back. And that little thing, they bonded. And I love that. I love the fact that they bonded. How they bonded, I don't care for that too much, but I love the fact that they did. And I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, Dax and Josh and Victor are going to be like a little 3 buddy friend thing. And it's going to carry on for the rest of the series and the rest of the season. But then at the end of the episode, Dax is dead. And I'm like, oh my God, like Dax is dead. I know he's a fictional character, y'all, but like, oh my God, that just hit me. Like it hit me so hard. And it felt so much like real life when somebody dies suddenly. And you're just like you're just like, I didn't expect that. And I didn't expect that, y'all. Like the next episode, which comes on tomorrow night, and I don't know when I'm going to post this video. It might be Friday, it might be today on Thursday. But when that next episode comes out, y'all, it's called Funeral. This is the first episode I've really, really been looking forward to seeing because I'm just really wanting to see what are they going to do, how they're going to do this. Like I said before, when I started this, I like for Joseph Gordon-Levitt to be successful and to, you know, I like him to win. So I was watching every episode of the season, but I wasn't really feeling it. But like this episode, like, oh my God, oh, like Dax is dead. And it was like, so this is like a little secret from a screenwriter. And this is, I don't know if you noticed this on like television series, but I noticed this back on ER. Back when ER used to come on, I think the first season of ER premiered when I was like 14 years old. I'm 40 now. And okay, so this is a secret. If a writing staff or a writer or you know, if they're putting attention and detail into a character and they're really going into depth in telling us who this character is, then you know most likely the character is going to be in more than one episode. Like it's just kind of like they don't waste their creativity on characters that aren't going to be around long. But it seems like they kind of broke that rule, which is like, yeah, I like that. They broke that rule and they gave us some time and attention and detail to a character who, he only lasted like until episode 5. And like, this might be a series that let's say they have a season 2. I thought he was going to be a pretty regular character. So I like the way they did that because it totally shocked me. It totally pulled me in because as you see, now I'm eagerly waiting for the next episode number 6, which is called Funeral. And like, I'm just going to leave it there, y'all. But yeah, this episode moved me in a way that I feel like art is supposed to move you. And like, kudos, good. So I will leave on that note, you guys. And, you know, I may pop back in on the series before the season is over. Maybe not. I may not even come back at all. But, you know, I will be doing another YouTube video about this or something else. So subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, please like it and share it out with your friends. And hit the little bell when you subscribe because it'll give you a notification that a video for me has come out. Anyway, have a great rest of your day. And, you know, check out Mr. Corman, like, you know, because I know I've had some people tell me they stopped watching it. So go back and pick up where you left off. Watch episode 5. That was the one that really just like gave me that punch. And I'm looking forward to episode 6. So bye, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Ciao.